appreciate the opportunity to present to you. I am going to speak on ransomware and malware. No, actually, I got to tell you, every presenter that's gone before me today is a lot smarter than I am. I am not a technician by trade. I am a business consultant by trade. My role at Unified Technologies is Vice President of Sales. So we will focus on your voice in the cloud. I probably spent as much time as Bob did on this graphic, but that gets my point across. So I'm going to talk to you about a very niche application. I always present Unified Technologies as a technology firm, but we're a niche technology firm. We do voice. Okay, that's a specialized application. You have to treat it differently on your network for it to work properly. So that's the lane we run in. Everybody that presented today, I actually like to do projects with those guys because they maintain a healthy data network, data environment, and then we maintain, implement, and support voice applications or phone systems, if you will, on those networks. Okay. That's what I'm going to do. And if I take 40 minutes, that'll probably be about as much time as I'll need, depending on the Q&A at the bottom. But I am going to give you a little bit of background on myself, tell you a little bit of the frame of reference I'm going to provide as I present some information. I am going to give you the commercial. You give me the floor. I'm going to take 3 or 4 minutes to just introduce Unified Technologies. Then we're going to spend some time on headlines, trends, myth busters, and then really get into the hosted phone systems, a few things to consider. I want to introduce my counterpart that's here, Angie Bailey. If you've not met Angie, she started with us about 3 or 4 months ago. She's going to be an incredible sales consultant for us. So she is one of 8 sales reps in the Louisville market that work with me on our team at Unified. So a little bit of background. You need to know that about everybody I know calls me Gabby. A lot of people from college to know my name was Mike would even surprise them. They have no idea my name is Mike. Somebody calls me Mike, like, what? I didn't know that was your name. So I go by Gabby. There's probably people sitting in this room that did not know my name was Mike until today. So Gabby's what they call me. I've been told it's a great nickname for the career path I'm on, telecommunications. Know that I started in this industry in 2004. Which for some of you might sound like that's a long time ago. For others of you, that might still sound like I'm a rookie. And depending on the day, sometimes I feel really smart and sometimes I feel really dumb in this industry. But it's significant to know that I started in 2004 because in 2004, voice over IP, the concept of voice over IP was really more bleeding edge technology. In fact, voice over IP, if you recall, was more of a residential product that someone would turn up Vonage because they'd get free long distance to Europe, right? So that was the year I started. In 2004, I sold business solutions, business phone systems to companies, and the conversation sounded like, how many lines do you have, how many phones do you have, and do you need voicemail? Okay, that's the conversations that we were having in 2004. I'm probably oversimplifying that a little bit. I started in 2004 with a company called US Voice and Data. They are no longer in the market. And in 2009, I was a part of a group that started Unified Technologies. I am one of the owners of the company. And when I introduce the company here in just a minute, you'll learn a little bit more about them if you don't know who they are. But the significant jump that happened here in 2009, we jumped into voice over IP. So this whole concept of putting voice on a data network came to life. And we had to figure out how to make that work, make those voice packets get to its destination faster than that YouTube download, which, again, depending on the network, can be a little tricky. But picked up voice over IP products and really emerged in that space. We started in 2009 with 25 employees, no products, and no customers. That sounds, in the best year ever for the market. 2009 was a little bit of a challenging year for our economy. But in 2009, that was the decision we made, and we jumped into a new opportunity. So since 2009, I have just recently moved into our VP of Sales role. In a minute I will introduce the company, but today I've got 15 sales support and sales people that report to me. We've got about 28 to 29% of the market share, so we take care of a lot of businesses in their telecommunications system, whether it's voice over IP or traditional phone systems. Then I'd be remiss, so how many of you have kids that left for first day of school this week? All right, so you saw all those posts on Facebook. In between those two major dates, Georgia and Lucy both started school. So 2008, my oldest daughter was born. about 6 months before we started a new company with 25 employees, no customers. So that was an exciting time in the Gabhart household. And in 2012, my excited little one, Lucy, was born. So that's a little bit about Gabby. Now let me introduce you to Unified Technologies. Again, give me 3 or 4 slides to give the commercial, but we're proud of what we've built. Again, June 1 of 2009, we started a new company really out of a distinct need in the market. And we did start it with an unusual financial model. We capitalized the business ourselves. So people threw in, bought shares of the company, and it's an employee-owned company. That is 2 things. That means there's a lot of personal ownership of the company to make sure we do a good job. And there's a lot of dedication, right? So there's a lot of late nights, long weekends, and everybody's committed to doing it because, again, it's that employee-owned organization. We've tripled the size of the company in those 8 years, just bringing on a lot of customers, over 1,000 customers now, over 2,200 customer locations. We support about 75,000 phones across not just the local market. So voice over IP allows us to extend our reach. We've got customers in 32 states across the country, and that's our team. So the team, we're excited about the team. We have grown considerably. I want to introduce this to you as well. So the other thing we've done is, as an organization, we're not perfect. But what we've done is we've said we're not selling product, we're selling solutions, and this is the core values of the organization. So know that if you were to engage our organization, these are the core values we're going to bring to that relationship. And if you know people that you feel like would be a good fit in this culture, I want you to introduce them to us because we are a growing organization. So the building memorable relationships, acting with a sense of urgency, and so on. If you know somebody that will fit those core values, we'd love the opportunity to talk to them. Okay? Our proven process. So we do follow a good proven process is when we look at new telecommunications solutions. I totally put this effort because I just expected a gentleman named Jay Mallory who's going to be here, and his wife is the blonde on the upper right-hand side. So unfortunately, I didn't get to do that. That's my project managers. This young lady right here is a lady named Helen Clasby. She has a disproportionate number of auto attendants in Louisville, Kentucky that have her voice on it. And if you call Norton Healthcare, if anybody's a patient at Norton Healthcare, Melissa Johnson is the voice of Norton Healthcare. So if you call Physician Service Group, know that she's the one that gives you the options to press 1 for scheduling. Okay. I'm almost there. The other thing we do, so about 85% of our revenues is phone systems. That's where we specialize. That's the lane we run in. The other 15% is this stuff, the security and structured cabling. So if you're building a new facility or if you're remodeling a facility, please engage us. We can help you with those things listed there. Again, that's our infrastructure cabling crew. We run 5 crews for cabling, and we're very, very busy. So if you know some folks that are good in this space and want to come work for Unified and fulfill the core values, we're really looking for people to help us on that side, okay? Thank you so much. That's my commercial. Now, one more thing. Anybody from Shelby County? So we just finished the rollout of Shelby County Public Schools, which was about 800 phones across the 16 schools in that district. It was a cool project because the students set the phones. So the students provide a lot of the labor force for this, which was an unusual thing. Normally we're so normally we're doing all that, but they put together. They have a technical program out there in Shelby County. They're very proud of, and the students were just an amazing help for that project. But went off without a hitch, and we got the project done about a week and a half before the first day of school. So we're proud of that project, and the K through 12 space is a space we're doing a lot of work in. And then, if you've got a mobile device on you, I would invite you, or if you're on your computer, I would invite you to connect with us, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and then whatever that thing at the bottom is.
What is that?
All right, let me get to the meat of my presentation. Oh, there's no audio. That's all right.
You could sing or hum.
I'm trying to think of a good song. You remember how it goes?
Call me baby.
You know, 8, 6, 7, 5. You'll get the gist, even though there's no audio. It's a little more exciting with audio.
Yeah.
So what song is behind it? It's just an audio musical. There's your fax machine. It's right now going. Let's get ready to do the internet, the AOL. Like you're all hearing that, even though it's
Yeah,
not
right.
audio, you're hearing that.
Yeah.
All right. So know that this is a brand new video from one of the manufacturers we represent, but that is not why I'm showing this to you. I'm just showing this so you're seeing the changing technology as we've moved forward. The desktop applications, voice and the desktop, the soft phone functionality, the notion you don't need to have a phone, the Apple Watch, the notion you don't even have to have a desk, and then the mobility piece, integrating these mobile devices. That's where we have come. Then the teamwork applications, which is kind of one of the new trends in our communications platforms. So we don't call them phone systems anymore, right? They're called either unified communications or communications platforms. And we're going to continue to see change there. So I'm going to move forward. It was branded ShoreTel, but I didn't show that to you because I'm not selling ShoreTel. I'm selling solutions, and there's a lot of new things that have come about with the technology. The reason I'm not selling a product is because of what I'm about to show you. So since 2009, which again was about 5 years after I started in the industry, so this is after I'm selling phone systems. In 2009, the largest market share, if you will, of phone systems if not on the planet, at least in North America, was a company called Nortel. Again, I'm not going to get into products, but that's probably a big name that many of you have heard. A very good product. In 2009, when they went bankrupt, that really rocked our industry. The whole concept of investing in phone systems was like, oh my gosh, if that one went under, anybody's susceptible, right? So I'm gonna tick off some headlines here that have continued to trickle out since 2009. Avaya bought that base in 2009. Unfortunately, they got into a bidding war over it. They paid almost $1 billion for a bankrupt asset, which then led to this heavy debt, which then led to this Avaya's gone bankrupt. Avaya, behind Nortel, was the second largest market share in traditional phone systems. So now they're facing a bankruptcy. You've got Polycom, which makes phones. They were looking at being bought by Mitel. That went away. Now they're bought by a company called Cirrus Capital. Mitel put in a bid initially to buy ShoreTel. Again, these are manufacturers of phone equipment. It actually got withdrawn back in 2014. Then, about 2 weeks ago, Mitel's announced they're going to buy ShoreTel again. Then you got Barracuda Phone Systems discontinued. You got Toshiba's left the market. Then you've got Cisco with some of the challenges they've got in the market space. So these are the headlines in our industry that are really rocking the whole notion that you want to invest in a phone system. What's happening is people are saying, I don't care what the product is. Oh, sorry. Sorry. I'm not as worried about what product. I don't care if it's Nortel, I don't care if it's Avaya, I don't care if it's Cisco, I don't care if it's ShoreTel. It's not about the product. It's about what experience can I deliver to either my end users, or what experience can we create for our customers when they call in. That's what it's all about. The feature functionality, that feature set. The name on that phone, Snom, Polycom, Nortel. I mean, it doesn't matter as much as it may have 10 years ago. In our industry, 10 years ago, someone would say you never got fired for buying Nortel, or you never got fired for buying Cisco. Well, that whole notion has just changed. Now it's should we even buy a phone system, right? So that's where we are. So here's the shift. Can I get a water? So here's the shift we're seeing. Back in when I started, frankly, 2004, and even in the late 90s, you were selling a product. You were saying, here's which product do you want? I got NEC, I've got Toshiba, I've got Samsung. You're naming a brand, and people were interested in buying a brand, and so you sold a product. What we're seeing now, less and less companies are buying this stuff as a product, and they want to buy it as a service. Thank you, sir. All right, so let me keep going here. Another big shift in our technology space, which is leading into the My Voice in the Cloud title here. There's different ways to deploy these solutions. And if you're not interested in buying a product, well, this comes into play. you can still deploy voice solutions, phone systems on premise, so in your building and terminate dial tone locally. You can deploy cloud solutions that don't live in your building and come in over a connection, whether it's an internet connection or a direct connection, is a topic we'll talk about in just a minute. But the other thing you can do is hybrid, which begins to melt both of these together. So you're putting equipment on-prem, but you're layering your voice applications with cloud opportunities, cloud options. Okay? I will tell you, in Unified, in our space at Unified, 100% of our, when we're talking about voice over IP, 100% of our installs are in this space. We're deploying hybrid solutions. They may be on-premise, but I'm layering them with the cloud solution every time. Probably 2 to 5% pure cloud. So we're selling a straight hosted offering, not dissimilar from a Ring Central, a Spark, a Mitel hosted, those sorts of things. So we're playing primarily in this space. Now, I don't want to kid you. We still have on-site solutions where it's a restaurant. They got 2 phone lines coming in. They got 8 phones. We're still selling those too. But for general businesses, that hybrid space is where we found a lot of success. Okay. Here's the other kicker. This is one more big shift in our industry is when you're talking about product, a lot of times people, the ownership, the way they consume that product is through a CapEx investment, right? So they cut a check, they own a piece of equipment, and they pay maintenance for it. But know that because of most of these systems are software driven, and you've always got to keep them under software support, a lot of people are moving into this OpEx arrangement. So they're saying, I don't want to spend my capital dollars on phone equipment. The manufacturers are going crazy. I really just want a fee-for-use program. I want a voice experience that's a utility. I don't want to make a decision on whether Cisco's going to be here, Nortel's going to be here, Mitel's going to be, you name it, Tel. I don't want to make a decision on that. I just want to pay a monthly fee for use. If something breaks, it's somebody else's problem. If there's an upgrade that needs to be done, it's somebody else's problem, that sort of thing. So we're seeing a lot of shift. And in the last year, so to put it in perspective, in the last year, we're doing more projects on the OpEx side than we are on the CapEx side. Okay? So that's to say, yeah, people are still buying phone systems. I've got some large customers, manufacturers typically, that still want to cut the check, want to capitalize and give you the PO and buy it that way. But a lot of times these smaller companies, or even the really large companies, want to do the OpEx side. They just want to pay a monthly fee for use, and if there's a problem, it's somebody else's problem. All right. Before I jump to that slide. So here's one of the myths. So I didn't make this one of the myths, but I want to hit on it. One of the myths out there is that if I'm going to operationalize, if I'm going to do an OpEx arrangement, I got to be all in the cloud. Not true. So you can often get an OpEx solution in a hybrid deployment model. So just know that if your CFO has a goal of moving your telephony platform into an OpEx arrangement, it doesn't mean you have to go to pure cloud. You could look at a hybrid solution. So I'm going to say that's a myth that we run into a lot. All right. So Mythbusters. So we're only telephony, right? So I've heard all the other presentations, and I know they run into some weird things, but I'm going to give you weird things from our perspective. So here's some of the things as we engage and talk to a new prospective customer. Here's the things we've heard. This is an oldie but a goodie, right? So, voice over IP means I get free long distance calls. So this goes way back, right? That's myth number one. And when we talk to people about voice over IP, if they ask me that question, it kind of tells me their frame of reference. So the reality of it is that depends, right? So voice over IP technology actually doesn't have anything to do with whether or not it's free long distance. That's all a function of the usage that you're set up. So the reality of it is that depends on your usage plans. And I'm going to give you a hint. Unlimited long distance may not actually be unlimited. Read the fine print. So a lot of times, a lot of these carriers, whether it's Level 3 or Spectrum or AT&T or any of them, they'll say it's an unlimited long distance plan. And in the fine print it says up to 5,000 minutes a month or something like that. So there's my first hint for you. Voice over IP doesn't necessarily mean free long distance. It might practically, but technically it might not be. All right, myth number two. If I go with voice over IP, that means my phone calls go over my internet connection. The reality of it is the answer to that is maybe. That's really a design question. Voice over IP does not mean public internet. Voice over IP means just an internet protocol. Whether it goes over your public internet connection or not is really depending on how you design your solution. Let me give you an example. So know that we get called in bad situations. So I'm always going to tell you bad nightmare stories because that's when we get called. So if we go in and work with an engineering firm and they've got 40 phones and they're using Vonage and they've got a 10x1 broadband connection, that is using their public internet connection and it isn't working well. Okay? If we go in and we'll meet with somebody and they use what used to be Smooth Stone until Advanced West IP now West, and they're using voice over IP, and they're going out to the cloud, they're using a direct connection and they're not exposed to the public internet. So there are different ways to design these solutions. Hint, if your design does rely on the public internet, be very cautious, and if your phones are important, you need to, I would suggest, run. Now, there are companies out there that are guerrilla marketing into the Louisville area right now. There's the Ring Centrals, there's the Vocalocity, there's the Finalities, there's the, you name it, VoIP hosted solution. They're guerrilla marketing. The problem is, they're never going to tell you the problems you're going to have. So I share this with you because a lot of times we run into people who weren't educated as they looked at voice over IP. Just know that a broadband connection or something over your public internet, it's not even technically really designed to work. It's not technically built to prioritize your voice so that it's going to work. I haven't been using this at all. All right, myth number 3. Moving to a hosted VoIP system will save us lots of money. So I think it makes sense to take a step back and for me to tell you, I'm not bad-mouthing the hosted phone systems. I actually sell them, right? So I sell hosted phone systems, and if it's the right play, we will quote it all day long. But what we're seeing is there's a lack of education on what that means. So this is one of those myths. Moving to a hosted VoIP phone system will save us lots of money. Well, maybe, right? So in general, somebody going from a traditional system that's paying for phone lines from AT&T on an old phone system where they're paying maintenance for it, and they're going to voice over IP, regardless of the deployment strategy, whether it's cloud or on-prem or private, it doesn't really matter. There's typically a lot of savings there. The fact that it's a hosted phone system really, it's just another variable, right? Hint, a poorly designed VoIP solution, regardless of deployment model, is the most expensive option. So we worked with a client about a month ago, and they had tried to deploy a phone system and it failed. Spent 6 figures trying to deploy the phone system, and it didn't work. Because sometimes hosted solutions just can't do some of the things they need a phone system to do. So you pull that out and put in a new solution that does work. I don't care what you got that solution for. From a price perspective, it was a bad investment. I don't care if you got it for free. The disruption of a month of a bad solution is disruptive. So going back to was it Bob's point or James' point, lost production is far more expensive than saving a couple $100 a month on telephony. So just keep that in mind. Number 4 of 5, hosted phone system means easier to manage. So know that in reality, when we've seen customers of ours that have gone to the hosted model, they were surprised by the management they then had to take on. When you go to a hosted phone system, you still have a phone system. It's just somewhere else, right? So you still got to manage it. You still got to maintain it. Yeah, you're paying a monthly fee for use, but if somebody needs to change their password, if somebody needs to fix a problem, well, they still got to come to somebody. You got to log into a web browser. So the reality is, it might be, but in reality, if you were using a system that you never had to touch, now you might have unrealistic expectations related to the management. And so I've got several friends that sell hosted phone systems. That's all they do, right? And we always said in the voice over IP space, the beauty of one of the benefits of voice over IP is I can take a phone that's plugged into that jack, I can take it down the hall, I can plug it into that jack, and if that jack's hot, that phone will start working. Well, in the traditional model, that's not how that works. So we always called that plug and play. That's the benefit of voice over IP. You don't have to have the guy with the magic tools on his belt to come out and make your phones work. And one of the guys I work with that sells these, he's changed that saying to plug and pray. Because on the hosted side, they position it like you just got to plug that phone in and it'll work. Well, it's still technology. That phone's only going to do what you told that phone it needs to do, right? So the plug and pray comment, it's the first I heard it was yesterday, and I wanted to steal it from him. All right, so this was really going to be directed at Daryl, but Daryl's not here right now. So if anybody's ever been to these presentations, I've heard one of the guys always refer to the phones as the plastic phones. And the reality of it is, with new technology, the physical phone on the desk, it's really just an IP endpoint that has a talk path, okay? Whether you need it or not is actually up for debate. So the answer is you don't really need that plastic phone. You could use your mobile devices. You could use your iPad. You could use your laptop. All kinds of other devices. You actually don't have to buy the physical phones. And in fact, a lot of times the phone's just there for convenience and for safety precautions. What we're seeing, so again, we only do voice. So again, I'm only telling you from a perspective where when they have problems, we're getting called in. In most cases, we're not taking phones off desks. That's still more of a bleeding edge, or at least a really leading edge concept. You can do it technically, absolutely, the technology's there. But practically speaking, the stability, the user adoption, it's not quite there yet to eliminate the need for a phone with a handset and that kind of thing. Does that make sense? And phone's a really small part of the whole solution. So my concern is a lot of times people try to lower the investment on these solutions when the phone's actually like the lowest priced thing in the solution. So if you skimp on that, it could destroy the entire experience for the voice solution. So just a hint from my side. All right, does anybody know what this is and where this is?
University of Louisville, Baker.
University of Louisville.
Well, they have one.
That is the one at the University of Louisville, yeah. Would you take a few of these? All right, so we came out with a white paper a couple of months ago, and what I want to do, hey, I'm going to share it with you. How many? One more for Chris. Here you go. Yeah. How are we doing on time?
We're doing great.
How much time do I have on?
Like 30 minutes.
30 minutes, awesome.
You're a quick talker.
Okay, well, I'm not gonna go over this entire page. This is more of a takeaway. I want to hit on a few of the top ones, okay? And again, I want to make sure I lay the groundwork that I sell hosted phone systems. But the pain is that I sell a hosted phone system and don't set the right expectations, it always comes back to bite me. So educational is a lot of what we do at Unified. Okay? We want to educate people to help them make the right business decision. So one of the white papers we came up with was considering a hosted phone system, 20 things to think about. I want to go through just a couple of these. Ollie, could you just read the blueprint on that number one? Yeah, just the blue on number one.
They are internet dependent.
Right. Right. So again, I think I mentioned up here that a myth in a lot of cases is that your voice relies on your internet connection. In a hosted model, if you're using a broadband connection or you don't have a direct connection from the service provider, it is using your internet. So that voice, unless you've got something in your network to prioritize the voice, that network is sharing. It's not able to prioritize the voice over the YouTube clips, that kind of video. So just something to keep in mind. Next one. Number 7. So number 7, if you'll look down there, beware of random phone manufacturers. So this is a trend that popped up in this voice over IP space probably in the late 2000s. So there are manufacturers of phones. I'll give you a couple examples. You've got Snom, you've got Polycom, you've got Yealink. They're all listed there. There's a couple other ones. But the interesting thing about those manufacturers is they don't sell phone systems. So those are literally phones that have a SIP, they have a SIP protocol, sorry, that program into a cloud-based phone system or premise-based phone system. But the challenge is, now you've got a manufacturer of a phone, and you've got the solution provider in the cloud, and the solution provider in the cloud often doesn't want to take responsibility for the physical phone. That's why a lot of times they say you need to go buy your own phones, or they'll give you the phone. But we found that creates some challenges. And the way they present it is, hey, buy this phone, it'll be the last phone you'll ever have to buy because it's a SIP phone, right? And so it's an open standards, non-proprietary device. The problem is getting someone to support that and make it work elegant can be a challenge.
You know, Costco is trying to get into the phone business.
They did.
Are they, what are they? What are they doing?
They did. So I found that last night because I just figured that out. So Cutatel was the model they were pushing out there at Costco. But again, Barracuda Networks has gotten back out of the phone system. Now, they'll probably pick up another one. I don't know what that will be. But
Well,
yeah.
I would never be interested in going there because it's like asking somebody to practice law that's a doctor.
Right,
I
right.
mean,
I appreciate the comment. So that's what's kind of happening in our industry right now is they're commoditizing the experience. They're just calling a phone's a phone's a phone if it needs to ring. Well, in most cases it's not. So I'm going to suggest, sure, there's some cases where really I just need a phone to ring. As long as it rings and it works most of the time, that's fine. But that's probably not anybody who's sitting in this room, right? A lot of us, if our phones don't work, I'm going to give you another story. And again, this company's not in the room, and I'm not going to say their name, but I know they know I'm not talking about it. But we had somebody who's a longtime customer of ours, about a 12-year customer of ours, and we had a telephony solution that we supported for them, and it did certain things very well. And I'll give you an example. It queued calls really well and gave the callers in queue a very specific experience. Please hold for the next available associate. You have 30 seconds. You have a 30-second hold time. You're the third person in queue. That kind of thing.
no queue is good.
Well, so what happened was they, on the advice of their IT group, they moved into a hosted model with a company called Vonage, which ironically is the same company that in 2004 was giving Voice over IP a bad name because their phones weren't reliable. But Vonage still now has a hosted business offering, and if you don't know that, I just told you. But they moved to Vonage, and 2 days after they deployed it. This is a 50-phone, let's call it a physician group. 2 days after they deployed, the doc said, "You got to get this thing out of here because you know what Vonage doesn't do? It doesn't queue calls very well." So the problem is, if you've got a high call volume doctor's office, now you've got 40 phones ringing off the hook. The doctors are pulling their hair out, everybody's screaming, and still nobody's picking up the phone, and they're just hearing ringing on the other end of the phone. So, I mean, there's very specific environmental needs that when you commoditize the investment, you just don't even think about, right? So we see that a lot.
And I like the dynamic thing where you can, port your phone and transfer your phone to your
Yeah.
calls there. And then, voicemail, like you said, an email, faxing, I mean.
Right, so those feature sets that you said, so another myth might be that you gotta be in a cloud solution to do all those things, but that's not true. All those features are available on really modern phone systems, whether it's on-prem or in the cloud or hybrid. Those are standard features in 2017. The ability to twin calls out to your mobile device, get your faxes into your email, get your voicemail into your email as a WAV file, that kind of thing. I can do that on my most basic platform, you know what I mean? So again, the idea is, so right now, Unified has taken a stance that not only are we not commoditizing the experience, we're going to the extreme. We're designing solutions that solve business problems. Our conversation is not about how many phones do you need, do you have Cat 5 at every jack? We're not having that technical conversation, we're having what are you trying to accomplish? What experience are you trying to deliver to your customers? And to this point, that's the reason we found the success we found. We're going to focus on delivering business needs.
Conference calling.
The ability to conference multiple parties together and what that experience feels like. That's one of 1,000 features that paging in a hosted phone system environment is a disaster. Well, in certain environments, and for certain environments, paging is critical. Or 911 access in the event your internet connection goes down. In some environments, you're obligated to make sure that happens. So there are just some very specific, unique things that, again, because we're niche in the voice space, we feel like we can uncover those needs and deliver that. Okay. I'm not going to go through all of these one by one, but does anybody see anything on here that they want me to expand on, or are there any questions that I can take from the group? I do have some time left, but I know it's been a long day, and I'm not scared to wrap up early either. Yes, sir.
I got two, I don't know what the problem is, but random calls. Random calls, you know, you go on a vacation, all that crappy things that I don't know if other folks, other businesses interact with that.
Yeah.
But, you know, the caller ID shows local numbers and all of that, I mean.
Oh gosh, I hate
Is there
it.
any way to prevent?
So know
those?
that I hate that, and I sell that, right? So if I get that local, if you get the local call out of Benton, Kentucky, don't even bother answering that call because they're asking for money. But, so that is a function of SIP trunking. Somebody somewhere has a phone system that is powered by SIP trunking, and they're pulling phone numbers from all over the country. So when they call into that area, it's grabbing a local phone number to place that outbound call. And it's brilliant from the marketing side. They're probably getting a high answer rate. And I could design that exact solution, so I know exactly how they did it, but gosh, I'm the guy that's getting those same phone calls, so I'm with you.
Which means the no phone call listing when you go online doesn't work anymore, right?
I've always questioned the validity of what you're talking about there.
And I just
can't
signed
speak
up
to
for it in a business market.
It doesn't work, but
I think it actually adds you to the list if you sign up for it.
Yeah.
I think it adds you to the list if you sign up for it.
I don't feel like it works from home very well, because I just signed up. Again,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I hear you guys. It's, but technology doesn't allow that. Doesn't
But you
enable
can't
us
lock
to-
out.
There's a, my other question is, you know, going through the push one to get our store hours, push two for directions, 3 to get a live attendant, that type of automated answering. Do you have any information or insight into where a company would be good to go from a live, you know, when you call that company, you get a live person versus that? I mean, is there a number of calls per day that you kind of
so
suggest
when does it make sense?
before you go to the automated solutions?
So I'll just tell you this. So we're a telecom company, we probably take 400 to 500 calls a day and we live answer every one. So, but again, we're a telecom company, so we've got to over deliver on the service side. So I got 3 people in our tier 1 group that act as our operator, and whoever's available takes that call. If all 3 of them are not available, then it queues up and they hear my chief operating officer's voice, say, thanks for calling, please continue to hold for the next available associate. But so as a phone company, I actually try to tell companies that they shouldn't use auto attendants, even though I sell auto attendants, right? But again, it's got to deliver the business needs. So it depends on your company. So at Norton Healthcare, we front end every call at every physician group with just 2 options. If you're calling to schedule an appointment, press 1. If you're calling to or anything else, press 2. If you press 1, you actually get kicked into a centralized scheduling group that sits off Newburgh Road in a call center. If you hit 2, it directs that call into the local practice because they're the only ones that can access your medical records. So it's you got to define it on your. I would tell you, too many options in your auto attendant is always bad. Any more than 3, frankly, is probably too much in your auto attendant.
Live feed in,
What other questions? That's good.
Well, I'll just mention, because we are a small office and we do lock down and we don't necessarily have a receptionist sitting at the desk all the time, we allow it to ring at support desks. You know, like the secretaries or the paralegals, it rings to 5 desks and the secretaries are the first level to answer, and if they don't answer, then the paralegals, and it rings no more than 4 rings, maybe a 5th, just because somebody was trying to catch it. So, you know, so it will ring at these, like if you don't have a receptionist, it will ring it wherever you want it to program it to.
Well, so the truth is with technology, they'll do just about anything you want. They can actually fry the bacon if you want them to. After a certain amount of calls are waiting in queue. I mean, it's technology, right? Now there's costs associated with some of those feature sets, but if you can.
It's a benefit of the phone system for me, so.
What's that?
Yeah, I said that was a benefit of the phone system for me, so there's I'm using the Mitel.
Yeah.
And I'm using you guys for support now, so I'm able, to buy a package that will allow you all those options.
Yes, yeah.
And I like that you asked the questions. The questions that you asked, the queuing time, nobody asked that.
No. Again, they're trying, in our industry, they're actually going back to the model of how many phones do you have, and do you need unlimited calling on that extension, or can you go, use a minimum? I mean, it's weird, like everything old is new again. We're back to the how many phones do you have, because it's commodity and everybody can do it well. Okay, but there's still kind of an art to it, and especially to it. Good. Any other questions?
I've got one that's unrelated, but I'll try, and it's for the whole group. We've been talking about a process of, like they do on the school systems or whatever, that you can text out and say, hey guys, the office just broke down, so nobody can work
Don't come
today,
here.
type of deal, or, with the, winter coming up, something like that.
Yep.
Does anybody use anything like that?
Yes, so we've got 2 or 3 that we recommend.
Okay.
that I can turn you on to. And again, in that scenario, that's a great cloud application, because to own that technology, to be able to do those blast sort of communications, well, that's probably too expensive for a small firm. So you just do a fee-for-use subscription type in the cloud, and pay for it as you need, that sort of
Okay.
functionality.
Well,
Most
we had
of
been
school
talking about
uses
it,
it.
I didn't know anything.
Most of the school uses it, and it's called One Call. That's the name
One.
of the company.
Oh, well, my grandchildren have gotten that, and, I know universities have been using it for years, but when my daughter was in college, so I think a few years ago.
Dorothy, if it's a small group of people you need to communicate with, there's a phone app called GroupMe that will do bulk text messages.
Okay.
I looked at that as part of our DR plan, and I had tons of salespeople come in and want to sell me an appliance that would send out group text messages. And I was like, okay, have you guys not heard my story about the aliens taking our building?
Right.
That's my scenario
It's part of
all the
VR,
time.
is that
People think, yeah. So if you're looking for this kind of thing, make sure it's a cloud application, because if it's an appliance, one, they're costly. They were surprisingly costly. Two, if the aliens take your building or burns down, that's totally. But we're still, you were 100 people, and we're still able to use GroupMe. And we actually call the GroupMe people. Their default is 50 users in their database, but if you call them, their support people will open it up to as many as you need. So you can easily go to 100, 200 people
Okay, I'll get the
with just
information from you then.
GroupMe. Yeah,
Yeah.
and you just import a spreadsheet with phone numbers.
I don't know if they'll be interested in it, but they were talking about it. We just implemented something through our phone system where if you were not going to be in, that you called and it would automatically go to get email to 3 different people. And then I set it up so that they could text it and it would go to those 3 people, and then also email. And some people didn't realize, which I was surprised that, the old lady knew how to text into an email, and they did. So,
I'm often surprised by that.
thanks.
Any other questions or comments? All right, I will just tell you, we do these lunch and learn series on voice over IP technology. So if you'd like to see more of a demonstration of some of the new technology, we'd love for you to join us. And the last word I would say, as you look at these technologies, it can be confusing. I get that. So the most important thing probably is make sure you find somebody that you trust to help you through the process. And if that would be us, we'd love to help. And thank you again for having us.